My name is Robert Haar with SDI Systems, and thank you for stopping in and listening to us today. We're going to be discussing, our topic today is do plan-based data collection tools increase productivity. Our guest today is Chris Greene. He is from National Firestop. Chris, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Great. Thanks for joining us once again.
No problem.
And also helping with the discussion is Aaron Tassel from SDI Systems. He's our Vice President. Aaron?
Hey, hello, how you guys doing? How come you didn't ask me how I was doing?
You know, I always know you're doing well. You're always doing well. Chris, well, before we get started, let me just say that we're open for any questions. Please type in your questions. Everyone's in listen-only mode, so if you do have questions, please just type them in. What I'd like to get started with is get to know a little bit about National Firestop, how they got started, a little bit of their history, and then learn how they used to do things, learn how they do things now using SDI Finish Line, and also learn a little bit more about SDI Finish Line. We're going to start asking Aaron some questions, and if we have time at the end, we're going to do a little bit of questions and answers and maybe go through a demo. So Chris, tell us a little bit about National Firestop. When did you guys get started?
We were founded in 2008.
Okay. And you've been there for how long?
I've been there for 8 years now.
8 years, so you started right,
Basically, yep.
started right with a company?
Yep.
Great. What kind of work do you guys currently do?
We work with hospitals, universities, other subcontractors.
Your primary focus is Firestop.
Yes.
And then what kind of inspection types do you guys work with?
Basically, any life safety issues, existing condition assessments, fire doors, dampers.
You cover a lot of different things. And what certifications do you hold? Any accreditation certifications?
Hilti accredited.
Okay. Top up on that. Keep doing all there. All right. Great. So Aaron, tell me a little bit about SDI Systems.
SDI Systems was founded in 2009. The company was actually founded out of a general contracting company.
Okay.
We found a need at the time to provide our customers with better documentation. So we started creating a system that can help you.
All right. Great. Back to you, Chris. Explain to me a little bit about life before SDI. How would you guys go out and your inspectors go out into the field, or your installers? What would they take with them when they went out into the field?
Usually bring notebooks, life safety plans, highlighters, cameras.
Okay.
A whole bunch of good stuff.
And then when you found something that you wanted to collect, kind of walk us through that. What would that look like when you wanted to actually document something?
So we saying, for an example, a penetration in a wall.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
We have to obviously find the location on the plan, pinpoint where it is, go take a pic, grab our camera, take a picture, before picture,
Okay.
what's the problem, take an after picture, then document everything in a notebook.
Yeah. So then how would you correlate the notation to the picture? And
Either do like a color chart prior to starting the project, or a number chart, a lot of times both.
so what would the color chart mean? What would, let's say, blue mean, for
Blue,
instance?
it depends. A lot of times it would be like through penetrations, we use a red or pink,
Okay.
or pop a wall type.
Was that consistent from project to project? Was it?
Between with different installers, no. It was
No.
always different.
So different
Throughout the same project, yes, they were consistent, but
other
other than no.
lack of
Again, to go
consistency
back
from
to,
project to project? Okay.
If you look at their charts, see what they got.
So what were some of the issues that you had doing that old program? What kind of prompted you to?
Just a bunch of stuff to lug around. We got to be in and out as quick as possible.
Okay.
A lot of these hospitals are not a plate out of mind.
Right, and didn't want you in their area too long.
Right. Taking quick notes. My handwriting's terrible. I
Yeah.
can really read it, so trying to get in and out fast. Sometimes it's hard to go back and try to read what the heck I wrote down.
You feel like you ever missed anything, any notes, any notations?
Try not to, but I'm sure there may have been a few times that a couple of things might have been missed.
Ever?
Documented properly.
Okay. So what methods what did you guys try to do to improve, to make it easier? Did you try using any electronic data collection prior to this?
We tried an Excel form,
Okay.
and that was kind of the same thing. I mean, it was a little easier, but we still had to get together, compare the notes, and break it down.
So you said get together and compare the notes. When you went to let's talk about going into the plan, when you wanted to put together a report. Thank you guys. Jeez, I had a brain freeze there. So the report. So how would that look? What would reporting look like?
Basically 2 to 3 hours at the end of the day. So basically a little after lunch, we'd all stop, sit down, compare notes,
Okay.
jot down what we have, try to get all our pictures together, numbered, so we'd have
All right.
somewhat of a,
How many inspectors would you have on a site usually?
depending jobs, I mean, sometimes it'd be 2 to 4,
2 to 4.
sometimes there might be 6, 7, 8 guys.
Okay. And you would all sit down together?
Yeah.
So it took a lot of time.
Usually there's lead guy that takes the notes and.
Okay. And then when you were, what really prompted you to start looking for a solution?
We started getting busier and busier. Fire stopping, obviously, I'm sure most of the contractors realized it became big. All of a sudden kind of blew up
Right.
7, 8 years ago, and with Jayco coming through. So I noticed that one of our subcontractors, he was doing a punch list down in Henry Ford, and I kind of was watching him, follow him around, asked what he had going on, and he showed me how he'd click on these things on his iPad, and everything was documented right on his iPad. There's no more hard notes, no more.
Okay. So that was your first introduction to Finish Line?
Yes. I actually watched another contractor use it.
Okay. And when was that?
I'd say that was 2011-ish, beginning of 2012.
Okay.
2011.
And Aaron, at that time, what was Finish Line around 2011, 2012?
Well, like I stated earlier, we come out of a general contracting background, so we have produced a product that will work for us and our customers for punch list, quality control, and safety. I mean, that's what we were doing. That's what our guys were living and breathing, and that's what it was. That was its primary and only function at that time.
Okay. And when National Firestop approached you, did you feel like it would be a good fit?
When Chris first called me, I was like, it's really not what we do. We specialize in construction management tools for punch lists. But the more me and Chris talked, the more it made sense, right? It's basically the same thing that we're doing with punch lists, but we're going to do it specific to barrier management. So we talked through, some of the things that Chris was looking for, and spent a little bit of time going over the product that would work for him.
So there was a lot of customization.
The platform that we initially built was pretty generic in nature, only because when you're working in construction, there's differences between jobs you're doing. One job might be a laboratory job, one job might be an industrial job, so the data that's needed to collect specific to those jobs is different. So we made our platform so that it could be customizable. For Chris, we had to look at the actual data that we were collecting. So for Chris, it was important to collect things related to fire stopping. So rather than collecting information on maybe drywall, we started looking at, okay, we need to identify what, right? And Chris gave me a list of the things that they need to identify.
Okay.
So some of those things were things like the wall type, right? So whenever you're collecting data on fire stopping, you need to know the wall type. You need to know what type of penetration it is, right? Is it a through wall penetration? Is it a blank opening? Those categories of information. You wanted to have the ability to put in the product that he was using to repair it, and also the UL system that they used to repair it. And this information was important to Chris because this is the report that he has to turn over to the owner, which ultimately goes to the fire marshal or to Jayco for inspection. So we wanted to make sure that we included all those things in there that he needed.
Was there anything else that was important to you, Chris, when?
My biggest thing was a mobile solution, something I could, basically like a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Have it on device, got the camera, everything, upload.
All right. Everything just loaded right on there?
Just to elaborate on that, I mean, when Chris came to me, it was I want something that's fast, reliable, and that's going to work for what we need to do. I don't want to be, and I want it to be super easy. And we have proven over the years that our system was easy to use. Training on it typically takes about 15 minutes, but what's important to him is the ability to keep some consistency with his guys. You know, he talked earlier about you get these reports that came in. Everybody talks a different language. It would be a pain in the butt to try to consolidate that information into one report to the owner. So what we did is we built in drop-down menus, right? No brainers. If it's concrete, it's concrete. Nobody's saying it's, you know, if it's gypsum wall, it's gypsum wall. It's not drywall. So we built in that consistency for him, which in the end turns out to be a solid, consistent report, regardless of who the installer or the inspector is.
Okay. All right. Let's jump ahead a little bit. So they talked. You guys talked,
right?
And you went through all that setup. What was the hardest thing for you? Was there anything that was hard for you to implement?
Excuse me. No, not really. I mean, it was because you know, our system is customizable. We were able to customize the terminology and the data collected for him. The only thing that really we struggled with a little bit was the engineering judgments and how we would handle those. You know, and you know, at the time I didn't know a lot about barrier management. I actually know too much about it now after working with Chris. But engineering judgments and the ability to get that information out to the manufacturer. So we ended up developing a process that, you know, anytime an engineering judgment request was written by one of the installers, that information at the end of the day would be sent out to the, in this case, when I'm working with Chris, it's Hilti, the Hilti manufacturer for review. So we built in their form that they require, the form that's in the back of their book, and talked with the local rep, and they accepted that type of option to receive that information. So it was a faster way to get EJs to Hilti for a recommendation and a faster way to get it back.
Okay.
It took a little while to tweak that, but yeah.
Right. So that was the process, but it probably made your life a lot easier and made getting those judgments back a little bit faster also.
Sure.
So how long did the process take? When did you first start using Finish Line?
I started using Finish Line in the beginning of 2012, I believe.
Okay. So
I think it was a couple months. I mean, from the time that we initially started to the time Chris was able to give me the data that he needed to collect it, you know, the longest process was actually getting it from them now for what we did.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah. Sure. right. But we went through a couple of iterations, made sure that everything worked. We did a couple of demo sites for him and his installers to play around with because we wanted to make sure that it was right. And ultimately, you know, getting the reports the way that he wanted them to look with the data that he collected. You know, but 2 months. But you know, now we have a platform based on Firestopping.
So, Chris, you've been using Firestopping for close to 4 years now, or 4 years. Has it made your life easier in any way?
Almost definitely. I mean, everything now is basically on one device. We're not carrying notebooks, cameras, worrying about running out of storage on our SD cards in the cameras and memory cards.
All right. What device do you prefer to use?
I personally, I use an iPad.
iPad? Okay.
I mean, some of our guys have either Samsung tablets or they use their iPhones. Or
Aaron, what type of devices can as Finish Line be used on? SDI Finish Line.
It's the device generic too. I mean, so it can work on any device. Anything from a Apple II or an iPad 2 and above, it can work on. It can work on the latest Android tablet devices, iPhones, Android phones, PCs, PC tablets. We have an online version, so whatever piece of equipment you have sitting in your office, most likely it's going to work on.
Okay. Flip phone?
What?
Flip phone?
No. It doesn't work on a flip phone. Flip phone. It's hard to say.
Yeah, it is hard to say. So let's talk about how you collect data now. When you go into what do you take with you? Basically, you said you take your iPad.
Yep.
And that's about it.
Our iPad, and now there's no more. I don't have to lug around the set of plans or anything, because everything's loaded right in my iPad. So.
Okay. And then, so how does that look? When you walk in and you want to take a notation, you find it on the plan,
Yes. I mean,
Kind of walk us
find our
through.
location.
Aaron, is this something that we can show everyone?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to,
All our plans come pre-downloaded
Okay.
per site.
so if you want to give me the screen for a second, I'll show what's going on my screen and show people what it means to have plan-based documentation.
Okay. Yeah, we never really talked about what plan-based documentation is.
Right.
So while I'm trying to figure out how to do this, can you,
Well, basically it's giving you a set of those life safety plans on your tablet. So a good place for you to reference where you're at, and it really what it does is identifies a specific location on those plans with the items that you're trying to identify. So, while lists of information are great that you can get in an Excel spreadsheet, having that specific location is key on the report, right? So for Chris, when they turn over this document to an owner, and they may have a fire marshal do a walkthrough, right? You got the top ceiling tiles, you got to look for stuff. This gives you a specific location where it's at. And what Chris has found, and he can probably elaborate on this if he wants to, but inspections for owners tend to go much easier, right? You've got a nice solid documentation tool right there that you can pull out. You can either print this information out and have it in a nice book, or you can take it on a tablet and walk with the site with the fire marshal, so they can see both the before and after. But as Rob said, I was going to show you guys quickly the software. Basically, we throw plans in it, right? And that's something that you as a contractor can do, but you have access to your plan. So this is an example of a life safety plan for some random hospital. But I'm able to zoom in and get into information in areas that I need to get into to document. So imagine I'm in this area and I want to document something. I just push my finger on my iPad and it brings up this document or this dialog box. And I can pick, right? What am I doing here? Top of wall issue, it's a busway. Boom. I've got that information collected. I can decide what I'm going to do with it, right? Is it going to be is it going to be a PFI, a note, a repair? Have I completed that work? What's the wall material, right? Is it concrete? Is it gypsum, right? It's gypsum. What's the fire rating on this wall, right? We got a whole list of fire ratings here. And then what system did I use? And maybe occasionally we'll put the room number on there so that information can, facilities work in room number, so they may want to know where that's at. But I also have the ability, once I'm in here, right, to take a picture. So I can take a snapshot of that ceiling, and if you guys can see this, my computer pointed at the ceiling, but I can take that snapshot, and once I have that, I can draw on it. Right? I've got tools built into the system that's on your iPhone or on your iPad that allow you to mark that up. Right? So I can take that picture. I can add any notes that I want to add, right, into this dialog box. So if you had something specific you wanted to relay to the owner or to maybe some people back at your office, you can save that information. It's got tools for drawing. It's got tools for boxes. It's got tools for color choices and line weights, all kinds of stuff. Right? But once you save that, that becomes the process. So what Chris actually does is he does this. He goes out, does that inspection. He takes the before picture. When they're done, takes a picture of the same spot. Boom. Maybe he puts a note in there, after photo, right? And there it is. So he's got both the before and after. And then once I save this, what you'll see, it becomes a notation right here. That's the exact spot where that penetration is.
okay.
So
Nice thing is you can easily pull it right back up too, just if you're walking through with the fire marshals or anybody.
So if I want to go through and look at this one, I can pull this one up and see, okay, it's concrete, 2-hour wall, right? In this case, there's some photos attached because this is a demo, but yeah, it's extremely easy to navigate.
What was one of the biggest benefits you feel that you
Just a huge reduction in time for us.
Okay.
I mean, so like I said, sometimes we'd have, on average, say 4 guys sitting around a table for 2 to 3 hours at the end of the day. I mean, that adds up pretty quick.
Yeah.
So,
And did it slow down your data collection at all, or
no, it's set up.
did it?
Now it's basically we can all work till the time we're supposed to work till we go home, and everybody hits their sync button and everything goes basically to one.
That's one thing about the system. Is the data that is collected, once that information is synced back to the database, there is no reporting to do, right? The reports are built in on the back end of the system, configured and defined the way that Chris needs them to report. And sometimes it changes, because different owners want to see different things. But we've got a really simple reports module that lets you do that. But they're done, right? So the time that they're out in the field at 6:30 till 3:30 is all time actually doing work, not doing reports.
Not doing okay.
Right? So that's one of the key benefits too, right?
So what, like as you said, what took you a couple hours to do? Now you're getting done.
Basically 15 minutes.
15 minutes, verify that things look good.
Right. And now I'm the only one basically that has to sit there. I get all their information. I can pull up anything the inspectors or installers have done.
Okay.
Chris talks a little bit about efficiency. Back when, you know, in 2011, while we were still doing contracting stuff and punch list and quality control, there was a student at the University of Purdue who did a study on basically the same thing, productivity, right? How can you take plans, data, and get those into a productive model? And they did a study, and what they found, they used actually finish line as one of their examples. They found a 97% reduction in reporting, right? So there is no need to report, right? What Chris does, I mean, before he sends the stuff out to his owner, obviously he looks at it, reviews it, makes sure that all the information is accurate, but he doesn't have to do anything more than that. It's a verification more than anything. And what we also found from that report was that there's a 50% reduction in the field time to collect that data, right? So the guys are faster. It's point and click. That's it. You know, there's no writing notes, no nothing.
Okay.
Doesn't take a rocket scientist to.
So we can reference that report. You have
Yeah, we have copies of it.
all right, perfect. I'll make that available as well. So do you use the generic reports that are available, or did you do something a little bit different?
No, we had our own little format that we really like using, so we worked with Aaron and SDI to come up with our own little personal report system.
Chris, like many other contractors, feels he's unique and want to have a unique report that, you know. So,
right.
You know, we did create a report for him, but since then we've built into our reports module what's called the customizable report, which lets you put your own logo in there, identify where you want that logo to go, put headers, put footers, what size pictures do you want to attach, what order of information do you want to present, do you want a data grid? I mean, so it's for the most part, you can do all that stuff yourself as the user.
All right. Well, we did get a couple questions while we were going through here, and the one that just popped up was, you know, how much time do you feel you actually saved?
Like I said back, if you figure an average of 4 guys, say 2 hours, so you're 8 hours a day. I mean, you're talking a week's worth of work.
Yeah, that's one guy.
40 hours. I mean.
Right. And then this one, you talk about having to load in. You said your plans come preloaded. So they're asking how long does it take to load plans in?
Well, I think in your office, you guys, they have an estimator, and their estimator actually loads those plans for them. So, I mean, the load of the plan takes about 30 seconds. Okay. It's a really simple process. Pull in a PDF and make that available to your
guys. We're set up by the time we hit the job site.
Okay.
I mean, typically you're going to get, for a life safety plan, you're going to have one for an overall floor. You may choose to break that down into multiple areas for ease of use or at the request of the owner if it's a large facility. But a little more than 2 plans takes a couple minutes.
Okay.
I mean, the hardest part, right, Chris will probably agree with, is actually getting the plans from the owner first.
Yeah, again.
At least a semi-accurate set of plans.
Right.
Yeah, my last one's from 1962.
What kind of files can be loaded in?
For the plans?
For the plans, yeah. What kind of files do you need?
We use PDFs, JPEGs, PNGs, TIFF files. We don't use any CAD files because those tend to be overly large and cumbersome. So we do have some customers that send them to us and we load them for them. But for the most part, we just have to give you a CAD file, turn it into PDF, and load it.
All right. Well, we'll wait around and see if there's any more questions. That was really all that we had today. And while we're waiting for that, I really do appreciate everyone tuning back in. Those of you that were here before, we appreciate it. The people that tuned in for the first time, thank you for your time. This has been recorded, so we're going to post that and make it available afterwards so that everyone, if you want to come back and listen to us talk again, you're more than welcome to. And you're more than welcome to share this with anyone that you'd like as well. I'm not seeing any more questions coming in, so if you do have any questions, you can get a hold of us. My name is Robert Haar. My phone number is 586-246-4108. And I can also, if you want any questions you have for Chris, I can get a hold of Chris. So just give me a call, and I will forward those on to Chris. And my email address is roberth@sdisystem.com. Thank you again, and have a great weekend.
Just a real quick follow-up here is we're going to continue this webinar series, and our next webinar will probably be in the next couple of weeks, but we're going to actually bring in a facilities owner from a local university who has worked with Chris in the past to talk about the benefits that he sees from plant-based documentation.
From the owners?
From our owner's perspective.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.